So, all right, Dennis Cooper and Zac Farley, we are here at the International Film Festival Rotterdam. It's January 2018, and your feature film Permanent Green Light has had its world premiere here. There's been 2 screenings so far. So tell me, how are the first reactions so far?
I think it's been good. It's always a little bit hard to tell, especially for a premiere. But yeah, no, we've seen some enthusiasm. It's been great. Yeah, it's a great festival, obviously. So we're really happy to be here. And we had two of the actors from the film, Benjamin Sulpice and Théo Chorby, who were with us. And the premiere was actually the first time that they saw the film, so that was kind of intense too, to like see it with them for the first time at the premiere. But yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Great.
So can you tell something about the origin of the story of the film and how you developed it into a screenplay and a film eventually?
Well, there was this. It was kind of, I mean, it moved far away from it, but it was kind of inspired by, there was this boy in Australia, and it was in the news, and he disappeared, and then it turned out that he had joined ISIS in Syria, and then he ended up being a suicide bomber and blowing things up, although he failed and he only blew himself up. And what was interesting about the story was that nobody who knew him or anything could understand why he did this, because he had no religious beliefs, no politics, no something, and so it became a very interesting story because no one could understand why he would have done something so intense and so radical, and he was just a quiet kid who read books and played soccer. So it started me at least thinking about. Maybe he did this as a way to disappear. Maybe he did this as like to use this context that was so heavy and so full of meaning that it would cover him up, you know, because he didn't have any real meaning, or maybe there wasn't or he didn't want anyone to know why he did it, why he would want to do this. So that just really interested.
Did ISIS claim something?
Yes. Oh yes, he was all. They used him and had just videos of him. You can look online.
Yeah.
There's So yeah, it was just this idea that maybe he had done this so that no one would know why he did it. That was what he was interested in. In disappearing and having everyone not understand why, and it being this forever mystery. So that just kind of got us thinking about you know what the film is about, which is this guy who wants to explode but doesn't want to die, and wants to have an event that would be a disappearance that would only be about the disappearance and not about his death, which he didn't think was important.
And you, the story is set in a kind of suburban environment near the ocean in France, right?
We erased the ocean, but it is
part of the ocean.
Yeah. It's. I mean, in the film, the location is never made explicit. It's not a particular place, and we worked really hard to sort of keep the kind of environment. Free of any strong specificity, but we're interested in. I mean, I got very excited about these these kinds of landscapes where there's a meeting between these very kind of dense, tall residential buildings, and then this what seems like a completely radically different way of living, which is these small pavilions, very close to each other, and the kind of space where they meet, and
And it seems you've stripped down a lot. There's a certain abstraction, I think, in the setting and but also in the acting. I think it's kind of, there are emotions. Sometimes they express emotions, but often it's more like as if they're looking inward, or
right.
I'm not sure how to say it. But did you have a certain angle in mind about the acting? And I believe they're non-professional actors, most.
Not all of them, but most of them, yeah. Most of them had never acted in a film before. Benjamin, who plays Roman, the main character, he's in acting school, so he has had training, and Théo, who plays Tim, has been in a lot of films and television. But otherwise, no, we just wanted wanted it to be about their essence. We really just the thing with them was to bring get rid of all the acting if possible, and just have them, it would just be, it would come from what they were saying, and then how they looked when they said it, and how they looked, and you would feel that there was something very deep going on, and that they wouldn't necessarily. There's only a couple times when people actually cry, and they're always alone.
Yeah.
Because there was just, in a way, them ignoring their emotions was part of why it worked, So yeah, it was really that. I mean, Tim said something after he saw the film. He said that when we were shooting with him, that Zac especially, and I as well, kept telling him to take it down, take it down, take it down, when he was trying to show emotion, and he felt like he was doing it absolutely emotionlessly. And then he saw the film and he's like, Christ, I look so emotional. So I mean, we were trying to make it so that we could see their emotion, but they didn't necessarily, they weren't expressing it, but we found it. Yeah.
So you kind of suck the audience into their faces, as it were, or into their...
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the hope, right? I mean, we're both very interested in trying to make this film that treats the audience in a slightly different way than I guess most films do. I think I mean, what we're talking about with sort of stripping specificity and working with actors in a way where they're not trying to like project something to be received, but where it's like a slightly inverse relationship where you're trying to, make a film that is really open for an audience to get involved with it as much as they want, and for the emotion to be really on the surface, but not on the surface of the screen, but like within the actor.
I mean, there's no soundtrack.
No.
There's nothing to give there's nothing deep. The world, we wanted the world, it's a very quiet film, as you saw. It has enormous amount of detail in the sound, and we wanted the world itself to do all the work.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of, we try to have this really deep respect and belief in the film for the characters, so that we have, the only music that's in the film is heard by the characters.
Yeah.
We don't want nothing between the characters and them. So, and it was just a matter of modulating them so that you could, the audience would have to search, I mean, there are people may not find them interesting or think, I don't care about these fucked up kids or something. Nothing you can do about that. But I mean, the film wants you to spend like a little bit more time with them than normally you would spend with someone you don't know, and then just get interested enough to search them, and then you don't really get what you think you're gonna. You aren't led anywhere predictable, I mean, when he does his act at the end, I mean, you never find out why, or you don't know what it meant to him or anything. It's just.
And he's also not particularly likable.
Well, he's very interesting. We work pretty hard not to make him too likable, but I think he's engaging. The character moves around a lot. He's kind of sweet. He becomes mean and obnoxious. He becomes very flat, and so he's slippery.
Yeah.
So, but it was very important that people not develop an emotional relationship with him, care at the end, because we wanted in a way for his act to succeed.
Yeah. And did you also kind of strip down possible psychological motivations, or?
Yeah, I mean that's just something that I'm sort of radically uninterested in. Any kind of like characters that seem to be built around some idea about motivations and stuff like that. I just don't. I mean that's just not the way that I experience the world or something in a pretty basic sense. So I'm just never. I don't think a film has to produce characters in that way necessarily. I think there are a lot of other ways to relate to someone on screen and someone within the text, and motivations. And
as if possibly there's something deeper inside them, maybe that drives them, that they don't really.
Yeah, there might
conscious
be,
of,
but it's also
confusion. They're confused.
And things can change very radically almost from one shot to the next. I mean, I don't think people's existence in the world is like so directed as sometimes films make it seem.
Yeah, I don't think he even really understands why he's doing it until the end. I think there's this moment when he's about to do it, and then he says, and he remembers this thing and he starts talking about the thing with the bike, when he got the bike and his friend never spoke to him again, and friend acted like he doesn't exist. And there's a moment when you can see in his eyes, it's like he knows why he's doing it, and he knows it's not going to work, and he does it anyway. the decision to do it, even though he knows in that moment this isn't going to work, and he just does it. So, but that's as far as you get. There's no.
But he wants it to have some kind of meaning, or he doesn't necessarily want to die, I think.
He doesn't care.
But
no, he's not interested in dying. He just is.
I think.
Or
I
make
think,
a mark on the world somehow, or.
I think maybe the interest isn't so much on the effect of the thing. It's like the thing itself is in a way the project, like the.
I mean, he says to the explosives guy, what I really want if I have, knowing that now that I'm going to leave things behind when I explode, I want people to say, thank you so much, whoever did this. That's kind of what he wants, you know. That's all it is. Like.
And about the ISIS thing, is there any kind of thing related to ISIS? Because you can say, maybe that's very personal, but there was a moment I thought about the Don DeLillo novel, Mao 2, maybe you...
I've read it.
And he says that the terrorists are taking over the stories, and because their stories are so powerful, and maybe for kids even, their stories are also...
For me, it was just like the fact that there's suicide bombers made some explosives guys sell suicide bomber vests, and the girl liked the vests, and I don't think there's any connection at all, personally.
I mean, I'm not very interested in ISIS in general, but and I don't actually think the stories are that powerful. I think they're quite poor actually, but
It's also
I think we do hard work to get it's not an ideological project at all. It's the project is very much the opposite of ideology in a way, and so that it can escape the kind of logics that travel through ISIS and those sorts of organizations.
You said something. I was at the Q&A Sunday about there being a fundamental difference. Of course, you're primarily known as a writer so far, between the image and the word. And can you repeat that? But there was something fundamentally different.
Well, it's utterly and completely different, because when you're writing a book, you're writing a formula. It's like you're writing a formula that will make the reader's imagination make the world, because there's no world. There's no world. It's all triggers, and it's all. It's like the drug, and you give it. It's a drug. Is just a drug, and you take it, and then your body makes the drug, makes the effect. And that's the same with a novel. So it's an entirely different thing to like create triggers than things they think. Well, I think maybe this will make them think something like this, because you can't control whatsoever what people see.
Yeah.
With a film, I mean, they don't have that freedom. I mean, there's a visual image. I mean, the characters are there. They talk the way they do. The world they live in is all set. So then the question becomes, where is the freedom? That's what's interesting, because I'm really interested in the idea of collaboration and with the viewer, and not having a power, trying to get rid of the power relationship between art and the viewer. So it's that. It's like, okay, so if these things are set, if these things are already determined and they have no choice, then where is the area where you can let them dream, and where can. So that's one of the reasons why I think the film has this kind of flatness and emptiness about it, is trying to create this space where it gives them, other things that they build in themselves, basically.
It's kind of a bit, in a way, there's more freedom in how to experience
with a film.
With a film.
I think with a book you have absolute, complete, and utter freedom, because you build everything. Because
often they say the image is so powerful that it's maybe too powerful sometimes, because
but if you create a novel and you make an image, you have complete and total responsibility for everything. If you make a film, then you're not responsible. You don't have that responsibility there. You can say, well, it's the film. It's the film that did this. But with a novel, if you read a novel, you can't say it's the novel, but you made everything. If the person dies, you made them die. You decide how they die. You decide what they look like when they die. The novel just. So I think actually the novel is like an art form where you have absolutely the most freedom of any art form, really. The viewer or the reader.
Now, but do you think, you're still a writer, although you said you're not particularly writing much right now, or
I'm working on making films with Zac is the main thing I do, and I'm making novels out of animated GIFs instead of language. That's an interest of mine.
Yeah.
But I'm not writing. I'll write novels again, but I'm just not interested in doing it right now.
You think the position of a writer has changed much since you began as a writer?
No.
Because there's been a...
No, just shifting tastes among people who read, and no. They seem different.
Okay. So now the film has premiered in Rotterdam. What's going to happen to the film after this festival?
Well, we're submitting it now to some other festivals, so we don't know exactly yet where it's going to go and stuff like that. But yeah, we hope to go to more festivals and see if the film can find its ideal audience or something.
Yeah. We have these people who are in charge of all that stuff, so they're going to be trying to get the film shown as much as possible, and so we don't know yet. This is the first one, and now everything else we will find out soon.
Yeah. And there's possibly going to be next film projects for you together.
Yes.
Is there anything you can say already about that?
I'm a little bit it's hard to talk about things in process because they change so much, and part of the excitement of working on them is the possibility of radically evolving or something. So it's but you.
No, it'll have significant differences to this film. And so
okay, well, I look forward to following both of your work. I've followed your work for decades with a lot of respect and admiration. And thank you, and good luck with the film.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay.